Welcome, everyone. We've got a very special guest here today with us. If you're here for the first time, my name is Dee, Marcus Soka Dee. You may know me from trading things like platinum and copper and a whole bunch of weird stuff, but I have been trading for 18 years and I'm a Series 3 qualified trader. Now, today we have Jerome D with us to do a very, very special lecture. But before we begin, Jerome, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us how long you've been trading, tell us what you trade, and what is your professional background.
Good morning, bonjour. Thank you, Dee, for having us today. My name is Jerome, indeed. I'm from France, from Lyon. I've been a trader, a futures day trader. I started in July 2023 with Topstep, and I am now a live funded trader at Topstep. And in life, I have a degree, a PharmD degree, so I'm a doctor specialized in neuroscience, especially neurodegenerative disease, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease, and also how our thoughts and emotions shape our being and how our being shape our doing and indeed what we have in life. So yeah, today we're gonna try to speak about the brain, mental, attention, performance, execution, and how this could help you. So it is like a first time for me. So I hope this will please people. Hope it will be useful content, and excited for the feedback and the questions we'll have. Thank you again.
I'm super excited to have you here because I think that the neuroscience part of trading and what we actually go through is not talked about enough. I am, I'm a layman when it comes to neuroscience, but because I've been trading for so long, I've obviously been through ups and downs, hell and back, and obviously at some point you have to wonder what happens on a biological level, right? So I went down the rabbit hole of learning as much as possible to my understanding how I can tackle some things with, fight or flight response, how long it takes us to learn things and why certain things happen, like the mental exhaustion. So obviously I know a little bit about it and enough to help people that I coach as well, but it's so good to actually have a doctor, an expert here. So let's dive right into it, let's begin this presentation.
Wonderful, thank you. So the topic of today is what I call the PIM-ACE. So I inspired myself with one of my professor, who is a brain specialist, Dr. Jean-Philippe Lachaud. And so PIM stands for perception, intention, and manner of acting, okay? And ACE stands for attention, compassion, and endurance. So we'll go through this concept progressively together, and that's what we could call the science of attention. And today we'll go together into integrating trading psychology with indeed neuroscience to optimize focus, execution, and endurance. So PIM, as I said, is perception, intention, and manner of acting, and it isn't just a trading concept. As I mentioned a couple times on TopstepTV, I just completed my second retreat. It was like a meditation camp retreat, but it was part of a degree, another degree I just got actually on top of my doctoral degree. And the topic is meditation and neurosciences, integrative approach in healthcare. And so how can we integrate mindfulness and meditation practices into life?
Just love
So
how you casually just said, yeah, that's another degree in addition to my doctorate. It's great.
No, I mean, it's just to explain to people, it's not just a sort of retreat I'm doing on site that we could do any moment in life. It's part of a degree, so it's part of a university program with the government. So it's really something significant and
very
legit,
important for us
sort of.
as well, how to ground yourself, how to keep yourself calm, and how to try and stay present in the moment, which is where the secret really is. Right. Awesome.
Exactly.
Let's go.
And so I believe not every peak trader have or practice mindfulness, but I believe practicing mindfulness will make you a greater trader. So if I don't consider myself a great trader, which I do, because you will see how self-esteem shape your execution. I consider myself a greater mindsetter, let's say, a better a controller of my mindset. So basically, PIM is a fundamental process in how the brain navigates every decision in life. You will understand through this course, let's say, I hope, that the purpose of sharing these for me is to make you understand that any moment in life is PIM, 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 PIM. And basically, when I was learning all these knowledge and skills, I was telling myself, okay, how can we apply these to trading? Oh, wow, it applies in this area. Wow, wow, wow. And so I was trying to think about how we could shape these into a sort of course. So this is not the perfect version of it, but yes, again, thank you for having us today. This is the shot we're doing today. So PIM is the process that determines how we react to stress and uncertainty, how we set goals and follow through, and how we execute under pressure. So again, if you improve PIMs, let's say, you improve not just your trading, but every area of your life. So
let me ask you, this will directly relate to somebody doing really well in the combine and then suddenly messing it all up in the XFA, which is something that we see a lot. Is that correct?
Correct. We could speak about this specific case. I didn't take this specific example in my presentation. Yet it could apply as well to people who are a couple hundreds of dollars away of passing their combines and they mess up, or people who have 4 out of 5 winning days and they're like, okay, I just need to do an extra $200 and I'm eligible for a payout. And guess what? You blew your $1,000 worth account and you couldn't do just $200 because guess what? You entered at the worst moment, but perhaps there's a reason behind it.
It's all mental. Yeah, it's all the mental side. So by learning how to control that, maybe understanding better what we are going through, you can get a better outcome, which is the whole point of this lecture today.
Correct. And the perception of the trading activity is also important. Do you perceive it as a business, as a game, as a side activity?
Yeah.
We'll go through it later, and this is crucial in my mind as well. So basically the role of attention trading. What is an attentive brain? Why are we distracted? Basically, your brain is your most valuable resource, and inside of it, attention is one of them. And we get naturally distracted, and training is required. And so you need clarity for that, right? So the thing is, oh, there's a slide missing. Sorry. So basically, the key is having a clear intention and minimal distractions. Okay, it's a two-component equation. And to improve focus and train your ability to reconnect after distractions, you indeed, as you said, you need to understand what happens. So basically, a brain, this is single task, this is double task. So basically, a brain cannot do double task. The red point you see is the loss of attention. It's called an error in the evoked potential. And so basically you can see a monotask brain has a better ability to execute, and the response time, this is the reaction time, is greater when you try to make multiple tasks. So basically your brain can concentrate only on one thing at a time. And this is cut off, but basically I wrote concentration on Google, and these are the pictures that pop off. So
let me just see if I get this the right way. So when you are focusing on a single thing, you are able to react more calmly. But when you try to do more things and your focus is diluted, your reaction time is faster. So therefore, you start doing stupid things. Am I getting this right?
Yeah, indeed, exactly, indeed.
Yeah.
But it can get faster as well. I mean, it's not homogeneous, right?
Yeah. Okay.
You can see what we could call the standard deviation is very smaller in the single task. So it's a more regular activity. You're calm, indeed, as you said, but your reaction time is fast.
It's
fast. So basically, it's not faster with the double task, but it's slower, and it's also messed
more
up,
random.
you know? Exactly. It's like long, short, you know?
Yeah, you know what? Yesterday, when I was trying to do a copper trade, which ultimately ended up doing what it was supposed to do. So I'm just going to flip to my screen just for a second. And I noticed myself flipping and flopping because in the morning it wasn't doing what I wanted it to do, right? And as soon as I did one trade long, one trade short, I was like, this needs to stop because I know myself. And whenever I try to do that, flipping, flopping, flipping, flopping, I know that's where that leads. So I recentered myself and I actually moved away from copper for the day and I did my platinum trade that was clearer, did exactly what it needed to do. So luckily I managed to get the day back. So now we're back in positive, keeping the losing days small and keeping, the positive days bigger. But the key there was that I started to lose myself. And I know the point because I know my mental triggers really well. And it's just interesting that everybody is sometimes battling with this, even not me after 18 years. You get to a point where you know yourself so well and you just know the mistakes that you've done. But until you define them and until you go, this is the point where I'll lose the plot, you will never get there. So we have to have like some self-awareness with this whole process as well, rather than just being, slides on the chart. It's like, oh yeah, our focus gets diluted. Great, now what? So by keeping track of mental triggers, I found that was really helpful for me in particular. Would you say that that's something that would help us just to kind of have maybe a journal where you keep track of the mental triggers? So it's like, for example, for me, flipping and flopping leads to bad trading decisions and the outcome of the entire day. So by stopping that, I'm able to sort of front run the bad decision and flip it around. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, you basically took off 5 slides of my presentation, which we're going to speak 10 minutes later. No, just
Oh,
kidding.
okay, so we'll get
You mentioned awareness of your mental triggers, and the point is I'm going to speak about attentional balance. And so this is using other words for what you just described. So thank you very much for mentioning these. And indeed, it is crucial to understand how you operate, to understand when you're getting off track. So you just said, I'm going long and short, and boom. That's where I knew I had to step off. And so the first step is being mindful of these, right? And so that's exactly what we're going to go through today. So thank you.
John Jones actually has a question for us. He says, what about people who are good at multitasking?
Well, I'm going to speak about it later, but people who are good at multitasking are experts of PIM. They are PIM experts.
And
So
can you
PIM
be that
again
naturally? Can you be that way naturally? Like some people are just born that way?
No, I mean,
No, it's always
unless
trained,
it's
is
a
it?
gift, I believe in gifts, but it's mainly about training. I mean,
But so
there's
yes, you
stories
can have
about
people who have been born that way, but they're rare, right? Is that what I'm
exactly. You
getting?
have stories as well of people having like strong concussions into car accidents, and out of nowhere they never played piano, and then they play like Mozart and Chopin out of nowhere.
Or they speak a foreign language. I've heard about that happening as well. Like just an American person
Completely
wakes
true.
up and speaks Spanish, even though they've never spoken Spanish in their life. Yeah,
Exactly.
brain is a weird thing, isn't it?
It's beautiful, fascinating,
Yeah,
fascinating. So basically,
absolutely.
when we Google concentration on Google, on internet, you can see it's like sort of painful, But
Yeah.
why is it painful to concentrate? It's a brain ability, right? It shouldn't be painful. And so what do we do when we concentrate? We set up our brain to do what it has to do, and nothing more. Everything takes time, even in the brain. Roughly, the average reaction time is 1/3 second, so 300 millisecond. And between speed or accuracy, do you have my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Between speed or accuracy, you got to choose. If you want to choose speed, you will decrease accuracy. If you want to choose accuracy, you perhaps will take more time, but you gotta choose. And the brain doesn't like to work under pressure. A fast brain is a concentrated brain on one singular thing at a time. You see the brain image, right? Because I
Yep.
think there's a gap between. So a fast brain is a concentrated brain, a focused one, on one singular thing at a time, with a single and clear intention. And so here is a picture of a brain activating a lot of areas, red being highly concentrated. But what you need is a singular red area letting you know that this part is mainly focused. Here
So
right now, this
that's
picture.
the engaged part. And
Exactly.
then, yeah. Okay.
Exactly. The hotter the color, the more active the brain area. So this picture is not a clear, perfect example of a singular task done by the brain, but rather of a mix of brain thinking. Okay. So how not to get concentrated? Two things. Not be really concentrated. So if you're not really concentrated, well, you're not going to get concentrated. This might sound stupid, but trust me, it's crucial. Or be distracted. Sorry, there's a typo. Or be distracted. If you get distracted, you won't get concentrated. So focusing means to privilege one target with your attention, to connect to it steadily and actively with a clear intention. These are simple things, but these are boxes you gotta check to be focused. This means focus in biology, in real life, okay? If you think focusing is locking in on something, but if you don't have a clear intention, you are not locked in, trust me. If you are not steady in your locking in, you are not locked in, trust me.
So here's another point that relates to trading. We see many people who are turning up, clicking buttons, day by day, and some of them spend years not actually progressing. So is this because they don't have the focus and the target for their attention? Is that why they kind of just never really progress? So is it better to have an intention as you're getting into the trading day? Like, for example, that let's say you have a trader whose main problem is oversizing. So if you come to the day with the intention to not oversize and do your best to stick to that one single thing for that whole week, that would be a better approach to skill development, right? In this light of, be really concentrated, not to be distracted, and have a target.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you for this example. Let's say today you lose. Tomorrow, is your intention to make back the loss, or is your intention to trade another day? That is your clear intention for the day, and that will lead your focus. If you focus on trading, you will not focus on P&L. That won't be your intention. But if you lost 1.2 thousand yesterday, tomorrow you will focus on making it back. Plus
it's going to be in your mind.
Exactly.
Even if you're not focusing on making it back, it's like it's playing on your mind. It's like, oh my God, what did I do? And then, all of these like self-limiting beliefs are just messing with the trading setup. And it shouldn't be that way. It should be just like, okay, what do we have on the chart today? This is why I say frequently that I'm a bit like Drew Barrymore from 50 First Dates. That's a very silly movie where she's got into a car accident and she's got this brain injury that doesn't allow her to retain any memory past a single day. And I always say to traders, you have to be more like that. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday, especially not if you followed your rules and if you stayed within, the assigned daily loss limit, didn't oversize, didn't do stupid things. It was just a bad day, right? They will happen. But coming into the next day with that on your mind is definitely going to paint most traders' days, because it's going to be like, oh, I'm trying to make back what I did from the stupid things that I did yesterday, so let's try and not do stupid things today, but then they come right back into the same cycle. Whereas some of us who have been doing this for a long time, we have normalized the red days and we just don't really get bothered as long as they're controlled. Obviously, if it's not controlled, that is much more difficult to deal with. That's a huge focus on what I tell people as well. Like, don't destroy your hard work in one day. And that's always playing on my mind. I don't want to have a day that's so red where I just can't come back from it for like 2-3 weeks, a month. It's just not worth it. But most people don't get that. So they're like, oh no, I'm going to keep doing. So let's maybe work on setting our intentions. So whoever is, for all of our viewers, putting this into practical terms. So next time you come to trade, like today, don't just sit and trade. Have an intention behind it, right? What do you want to tackle today? And the way I like to approach it as a coach, what is your biggest issue? So what is the thing that harms your P&L most? Is it oversizing, overtrading, mix of both? But which one hurts you more? And usually it's going to be the oversizing. That's like the primary reason why people blow up. So control that side. Come into your trading day with a single intention that you're going to set your maximum default position size, let's say 3 micros, and you're not going to go over that. Make that into a clear task. It's going to be so much faster, so much better, and your progression is going to be pretty transformative when you start doing things like that. Okay, let's continue.
Very nice exercise.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, how focus works in trading. Focused attention means sustained, stable connection to a target. The goal, train your brain to maintain intention without unnecessary effort. And you will avoid crispation, and focus should be effortless, not forced. So basically, now let's dive into the jam. So PIM, perception, intention, manner of acting, the key to focus. Your perception, ladies and gentlemen, is not your reality. It is your brain's interpretation of reality. Let me repeat that. Your perception is not your reality. It is your brain's interpretation of reality. In life in general, forget trading. So the neuroscience behind perception, your brain never sees the world directly. Everything we experience is filtered through your past experiences. It determines what something means. Oh, it reminded me of what happened. We relate to past experiences. Mm-hmm. That's the thalamus. Your emotional state, this shapes how you react. Happy, you will have a more evident reaction. If you're angry for whatever reason, you will get tilted. You will have mental and emotional triggers. And your RAS, the RAS, reticular activating system filter, what's important for you. But what's important for you is for you. It's subjective, right? What's important for Dee is not as important as what it is for me, or vice versa, right?
Yeah, we've all had different life experiences. We all have different money beliefs, to apply this directly to trading. And, somebody, even when it comes to losses, right? So somebody losing $100, for me, it would be like, yeah, whatever. But for somebody else, it might be like, oh my God, I did so much money. It's like so different, and it's all about perception. You're so right.
Exactly. But perception is hard, right? In trading, yeah. Indeed, let's say there's a large red candle. Trader A sees it as a discount, an opportunity to buy, and trader B sees it as a disaster, panic, fear, hesitation. Should I buy? Should I sell? Same market event, two completely different realities. In real life, for example, person A sees public speaking as a chance to grow, which is confident. Person B sees public speaking as a chance to embarrass themselves, which is fearful. The event is the same, but perception shapes their reaction. And perception controls your emotional state and your decision making.
So let me ask you this. So obviously, when now people see you, all of us who are doing this, but when I started getting into the whole live streaming and even just doing long form videos on YouTube many moons ago, I was absolutely terrified of the camera, even though I was a musician for 20 years before then. But it was mainly like either singing or playing instruments. I didn't have to speak to the camera, if that makes sense. And I was absolutely terrified to just put on a camera and just to go, talking to a wall, effectively. I didn't know whether there was anybody there who was going to listen, whether I'm going to be, coughing throughout it, or, something might happen. There would be a disaster. Maybe there would be a spider in my room and I'll be freaking out. Like, all of these stupid things were going through my head. But then once I started doing it, it probably took me about 3-4 months to get used to it. So, is there anything that we can do to kind of get to that point of no fear and growth? So you say somebody sees public speaking as a, opportunity to grow, and, putting that back into trading. Is there anything that we can do to expedite this process rather than letting it take its course and however long it's going to take, like a year or 2 years?
Completely. Thank you again. We got a great connection here. You're making great links and transitions. So,
thank you.
2 cents hot mind right now. I think visualization is one of the most powerful tool for trading, for public speaking, for whatever experience we are not comfortable with. Visualization is one of the most powerful tool. Why? Listen, please, ladies and gentlemen. The brain doesn't make the difference between a thought and a real life event. The brain doesn't make the difference between a thought and a real life event. So if you have babies and you can, if you have children, you can recall and remember the moment the birth occurred. And you can feel almost exactly what you felt at this right moment, right? You can have your goosebumps and etc. Why? Because your brain makes you feel that way. This is the magic of the brain. But guess what? When you think negative, when you think low self-esteem, when you ruminate, when your mind wander negatively, guess which self you feed? And this is the concept of self, the concept of identification, and we'll go through it later as well. But yeah, there's a... the mind isn't just the mind. It's a foundation of several pillars. And when one is unbalanced, you can balance it with another pillar. But you need pillars. You can't have only one or two. You need several. And they can grow back again until you have all your pillars setting up your foundation. And then you can build upon your mind. The mind is a very tricky thing, but it's our greatest tool. And unfortunately, we don't have a guide for the mind. We have a guide for any other organs. We know all organs, how they work and operate at 99%. But the brain, we are still learning, right? And so
yeah, it's a big mystery. Yeah.
Exactly. So thanks to technology, we are learning more and more. And this is today my way of sharing what I learned. Knowledge is free. And I really believe knowledge leads to greater self and growth. So yeah, I hope this is useful for people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So now let's dive into the neuroscience of intention.
Yes. My favorite part.
So intention could be called like the invisible driver of behavior. Intention is the why behind every decision, whether you realize it or not. And so where does it come in the brain? The PFC, the prefrontal cortex. We talk about it always. So this plans long-term goals, cognitive thinking, logical thinking. The limbic system, which seeks immediate gratification, emotional impulses. And when the PFC is weak, so when your emotional brain takes over, you act on impulse. And when the PFC is strong, when you calm down your emotion, when you don't let stress take over your system, you follow through on intention. So
just to completely get this super clear for anyone who's finding the language a bit wordy, prefrontal cortex is basically your rational side, right? Whereas the limbic system is your primitive side where all of the emotions come from, because emotions don't come from your rational side. They come from our old sort of side, primitive side of our brains that was in charge when we were running away from saber-toothed tigers, lions. Survival, and everything, and we needed to survive. So that's where the emotions come from. Anything emotional comes from that part of us. So anytime you feel an emotion, like we have a question, how do we deal with FOMO? It's exactly the same thing. FOMO comes from your impulsive limbic system side, the primitive side. Therefore, you need to get your prefrontal cortex to re-engage, and there are ways to do it on a biological level. I'm sure Jerome is going to get to that point. And usually it's to do with the whole system of how the fight or flight response actually happens. What are the some of the chemicals involved in it? Glycogen, adrenaline, blah blah blah, all of that. We'll get to it. But yes, there is one thing to note: rational side of you that you effectively consider yourself as yourself, and there's the emotional, irrational, impulsive side that drives pretty much all the bad trading decisions you've ever done in your life. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, exactly, correct. Exactly.
I call that side of me the animal.
That's wonderful. That's great. But you identified it. Identification is a crucial step as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, as well, please keep in mind, you might have a lot of questions popping today related to how or what can I do. And we will answer to them. But understand that first you need to really understand what's happening here to understand how the tools will help you. If you go to the army and you have a weapon in your hand and you're like, it's the top 3 weapon in the world, semi-automatic rifle, but you don't know about anything about how it works, you're not going to shoot a single bullet, right? You're going to have a great weapon, but you won't have any knowledge on how to use it or how to enable it. So understanding
I will go one step further as well. If you don't have enough experience with the situations where you might be required to use a gun, that's also going to be pretty useless. Because I remember many moons ago, I lived in Serbia, Belgrade. It was a dangerous time. And at one point, I got in my head that I should get trained in guns, right? But a friend of mine who worked for the special forces at the time, well, not at the time, he was let go. I think he was like discharged or whatever. He got hurt and then, obviously he couldn't do that job anymore, but he was still working security. And he said to me, Dee, there's no point you getting a gun because unless you have the training to go along with it, even if you find yourself in a situation where you might use a firearm, you're not going to know to recognize it fast enough. And it was so true. He was totally right about that. So again, we need to know our...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Look what you put your finger on. Thank you again. You put your finger on double task, single task, on how... And army militaries, we work... we, not myself, but neuroscientists get recruited by army to train them and make them understand how they can lower their reaction rate and how in extreme stimuli situations they can narrow their focus and have a clear intention and focus, and whatever happens they are locked in and they will know what to do and when to do it because they train themselves for that. And so training is crucial. It's crucial. But yeah, for intention, trader A, let's say I'm entering this trade because it matches my plan. Trader B, I'm entering this trade because I just lost money and want to win it back. Same action, different intentions, right? Different outcomes. It's like why most diet fails. Someone says, I want to lose weight, but their real intention is, I just want to feel better about myself. If they don't recognize the real intention, they'll chase short-term diets instead of sustainable health. I want to look good for summer.
I want my bum to look good in shorts. That's a very different intention to I want to be healthier and stronger in general, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so an exercise you can put on a post-it, and something I nurtured myself is before making a trading decision, pause and ask, or any decision in life, what is my real intention here? What is my real intention here? And a challenge also for perception. Think about the challenge in your life right now, whatever it is. How are you perceiving it? is there another way to see it? Don't find all the answers now. Replay it or write it on a paper. So for perception, an exercise would be, think about the challenge in your life right now. How do you perceive it? How are you perceiving it? Is there another way to see it? And for intention, before making a decision, pause and ask, what is my real intention here? Which leads us to the neuroscience of execution under pressure. Your manner of acting, PIM, perception, intention, manner of acting, is the final output of your perception and intention. And so the thinking brain, the PFC, rational decision making, as we said, the emotional brain, amygdala, part of the limbic system, fast reactions, fear response. As Deeyana said beautifully, our brain was made for survival. Under stress, the amygdala often overrides the PFC, which leads to impulsive mistakes, emotional-based decision making. And so why do traders hesitate, chase, or freeze? Because when a trader experiences stress, cortisol level gets higher, testosterone level gets lower, the brain shuts down logical thinking. The body prepares for survival. Adrenaline pumps up. And not optimal decision making.
No, and the lack of fine motor control also goes. So think about the movies where you have, some serial killer chasing his victim, and she gets to like her apartment, and is trying to like fumble around with the keys and stuff, and suddenly she can't get the key into the keyhole. So what is that? That's your limbic system taken over, and your fine motor control is just gone because your whole body is ready to fight. Is that right?
Exactly, or freeze. You can
freeze. Well, sheep have that, don't they?
Boom! Sheep folklore. Exactly.
I always find that really funny.
And usually, when the amygdala takes over, we don't remember what we just did because the PFC gets shut down. And we have many examples. Let's say performance anxiety in sports. A basketball player sinks every free throw in practice, and I'm sure Coach Jay will agree with that. But in the final seconds of a championship game, if they trained their brain under pressure, trust me, they choke, whoever they are. And for an interview, it's the same. Two people prepare for an interview. One visualizes success, breathes calmly, and enters with confidence. It doesn't mean they will have the job, but the other is stressed, overthinks, and stumble on their words because they are not calm. The difference, one trades their manner of acting under stress. Again, it doesn't mean they will have the job, but they will have a better experience. And
in music, it's the same thing. So you have some people who have awful stage fright, and if you don't sort of train yourself to play under pressure, and you're always just playing in your bedroom, you will never be able to replicate the amount of mastery that you have in your bedroom versus on a big stage where, there's several thousand people watching you. So it is a trainable thing. So it's not like, I don't have this, therefore I can't do this. It's like any other muscle. The more you train yourself under pressure with intention, I might add, we get better at it, right? So this is why combines are so important. They sort of offer us a way to trade and train ourselves under some sort of pressure with some risk parameters in preparation to trading the funded account in the future. But the problem that I see is that people try and do that in 2 days instead of using the combine for what it should be used for, training yourself to trade under pressure.
Exactly. What is your intention? Is your intention to grow, and regardless of the days you pass the account, or is your intention to gamble? And again, you put always your finger on top of points. Musicians, and I understand now why you have such good mental awareness. I'm gonna bounce back from your example. Let's say you are at a concert, public concert. You miss a note, and you missed a note. Are you gonna stop and be like, "Oh, I missed a note"? No, you're gonna be like,
you keep
in
going.
your head, you're gonna be like, "Yeah, exactly." You almost won't have any stopping moment, right?
There's no stopping moment. So if you fumble a note, if you fumble a phrase, the only thing that used to go through my head is like, how many people noticed that? Well, my guitarist probably did, but nobody else did, so it's fine.
And then your brain is like, brings back the attention into locking in. Clear intention. What is the intention? The concert Okay, this is the concert. You are focused on a single task with a clear intention. Okay, and that's why I wanted to make the clear definition of this prior. This is very important to understand. So basically, a sentence I like is, you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your training. You don't rise to the
So
level
true.
of your goals, you fall to the level of your training. And so a stress rehearsal, if you want to do it later, pick a scenario where you get stressed. In trading, for example, whether it's a trade you enter that hit you with drawdown, whether it's a trade that you have difficulties managing, whether it was in profit or in drawdown again, or whether it's a situation you didn't know if you wanted to enter, rehearse handling it calmly in your mind. That could be thinking and paying attention to what's happening. And
Yeah, well, what's his name? Tom Hugard, in his book, says that he would visualize, because most people are focusing on visualizing positive things, right? They're visualizing the trade going their way. But in his book, he actually said that he visualizes a loss and how he will respond to that loss, which I found very interesting, because you wouldn't think that visualization can work in reverse, where you're effectively visualizing how you will behave the next time your trade goes against you. And I think that's more important, right? If a trade works out, there's not that much to learn from it. It's like you had a plan, it worked out, hit your target, or you ended up in some profit. Awesome, let's go. But when the trade doesn't go well, that's when trouble starts. The fear sets in, and you're like doubting meaning of life. But if we train ourselves to visualize that next time the trade goes against us, we stay calm, we stay centered, we stay focused, and then we manage the arising emotions appropriately, because we're not robots. There will be emotions. But to me, it's like, what do you do in a drawdown that separates the good traders versus the bad traders, right? And I think those of us who have gone a little bit further down the road, we learn how to get ahead of some of the bad emotions. Like, I actually see a drawdown in a particular zone as an opportunity to adjust my position. And I use a measure called maximum adverse excursion for that. So I basically look at how much drawdown my trades suffer on average, and it gets to usually between 18 to 22 ticks. I typically use about 35 ticks for my stops, and actually I would start slow, so I go into one trade with maybe one lot, and then it dips down to my MAE area. I look for evidence of some sort of a positive price action, and I use that point to scale in. So it's not like freaking out. It's kind of like using a weakness that you have to your advantage, rather than, oh my God, it's in a drawdown. Oh, it's not working out. It doesn't look good. Like, you just gotta breathe, and you go, okay, now I know that I've seen this before, so this is not bothering me. I've got data to support, and I find confidence in data. I don't know about you, Jerome, but every time I get myself into any sort of trouble, I always go back to the numbers, and, maybe I'm just a big nerd. I don't know, but
data is reality.
Yeah,
It's reality,
exactly.
right? So, but I'm gonna come back to visualization, and if you want, we can prepare 2 visualization exercises for next week if we make this again.
Yeah.
If people liked it, we can make a positive one, a negative one, because both are important. And indeed, now you understand more and more the brain. You understand the brain doesn't make the difference between fiction and reality. So visualizing a losing trade makes your brain and your body used to the feelings and the thinking that go through a big loss trade. And so you train yourself for that, like an athlete, like an astronaut, like a high performance worker, And so guess what? The more you get used to it mentally and physically, when it happens, you will act as it happened 100 times, while it's just the first time, right? And so on the positive note, that would be a visualization exercise on how to make bigger trades that you are used to. For example, that's something I used for myself. I used to never make a trade more than $300 or $400. And so I was like, okay, how can I make a $1,000 day, for example? How do I feel? Oh, I feel stressed. Oh, that pressure, blah, 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 you know? And I worked on it, and then it worked out because I got used to it. But yeah, we could work on that. So basically, perception is the way you see the market. And if you are locked in your PIM, your perception, intention, manner of act, you will see the market clearly and avoid biases. Your intention will make you act with purpose, not impulse, and you will stay composed under pressure. And these three elements govern how we engage with trading and focus on any other area of life. Okay? So, so this is the Stroop test. Okay? If I ask you, Dee, to read the color of the words, can you give it a try, please?
Okay. Can you change the...
From left to right.
Yeah, can you just change... Yeah, from left to right. Purple, red, brown.
Okay,
red,
so
green, blue.
You are reading the words. I
Oh,
asked you
so
to
what
read
am I
the
supposed to do?
colors. But
Oh,
that's the test. That's the part of the test, exactly. So people are focused on what their brain tells you.
I see. Oh, wow.
You see? Instead of saying
Okay.
green, blue, red,
Green,
you were like,
blue,
purple,
red.
red.
Yeah, I'm actually reading the words. Oh, that's
But
hilarious.
go ahead, give it another try.
Okay. So reading the colors: green, blue, red, orange, yellow, and whatever the last one
sorry.
was. Yeah.
But see how painful this is. How
Yes, it's
mental
much more difficult.
energy it asks you.
Yeah.
Why is it not switching?
Oh.
Okay.
It's switching now.
So yeah, if you read it fast, automatically your
Oh,
brain
no,
is gonna say
I'll
purple,
fumble.
red, brown, red, green, blue.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
if you want to read the colors, you go, okay, green.
Yeah, it's
okay,
like,
blue,
oh,
because
because
double
the
task.
visual cue is telling you one thing, but you know you need to do something else, and you're like, hold on, I need to derive a different type of information here.
Exactly.
Wow, that's mind blown here.
The brain
hilarious.
focuses on a single task. Your eyes see something, so you can't read and process. I mean, you can, but we come back to the teachings previously, right? Single task. You see?
Yeah.
And when you try to do it well, what happened? The reaction time increased.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a lot of tests like that, but this is one of them.
So I've never done that. I've never done it. You got me there.
Wonderful. You're like purple, red, brown. I was like,
It's like,
yeah,
I'm
let's
gonna
go.
ace this. It's like, no, actually.
Hilarious.
Oh, that's
Thank
great.
you. And so I put this picture because I do climbing, but in climbing, every single step of the way is a PIM. You perceive you perceive what you're gonna hold. You have an intention. You perceive your body, etc. You have an intention in your strength, in your balance, and the action is the movement. You know, and so people who do climbing have a great ability to apply PIM into their life. So now distractions. Understand. Okay, it's here. Understand distractions. So we have three major sources of distraction. Okay. And so basically you have the prospective memory conflicts, which is thinking about future tasks. Your brain always think about what's going to happen. Always. It's the brain ability. It's not yourself. Don't worry. You have the pre-attentive system. So this is reacting to unexpected stimuli. We always have unexpected things. We can't expect the unexpected. I mean, we can, but we don't know what to unexpect, right? So this is a paradox. And the third one is the reward circuits. Okay, the reward system, chasing dopamine, hits from social media, for example. We'll go through it later, of course. But
yeah, I think I'm a bit too old for that part. I know that young people have huge, dopamine hits from somebody liking their posts and stuff. But I'm a little bit older, and I just couldn't care less whether people liking my stuff. And that's why some of my social media is so random. So it's like, I'm just going to post my dogs today. It's like, I don't care. I like it. I don't care if anybody else likes it. So
that's beautiful. But the beautiful thing is people don't know. I mean, some people do, of course. There's a whole business of attention. companies like Hermes or Louis Vuitton, for example, they hire neuroscientists. So we could give them teachings about attention and how to grasp people's attention. This is called neuromarketing. Okay, this is a whole new concept, a whole new hype, but it's basically monetizing people's attention. You see on advertising boards, on ads, etc.
So
attention is monetized.
So here's something that we used to do in songwriting, because this day and age, you know, when you're creating a song, there's like a lot of competition, there's a lot of stuff, and I did a fair amount of songwriting in my day as well. So one of the things that we used to do is to make a pretty sort of outrageous statement during the first phrase that you're going to sing. So for example, you know, we're laughing about things like Katy Perry's song, I feel like a paper bag in the wind or something. But that's actually that. It's like, it's a neuroscience trick to hook you in, because it's like, did she just say paper bag? Like what? And then your brain is just, it goes, I need to know more, because that's very unusual. So we actually, as songwriters, use those kind of tricks as well to hook people in, because you only have like 3 seconds to hook people in. And if you don't, they just, you know, change the station, go elsewhere, click to the next video or whatever, right? Scroll to the next video. So if you know that there's this... I think the marketers call it critical interruption pattern or something like that. I don't know. But in music, we have the same thing. It's interesting that it kind of carries over into other areas too. Just going to add that.
Wonderful. Thank you again for this example. But indeed, attention spans, or really declining. The average, I think, is roughly 47 seconds. The average person switching task every 47 seconds. And so this is it's very easy to get distracted in trading, right? You can scroll Twitter between trades, you can jump in and out impulsively, you can check Discord every 5 minutes. I'm not telling you this is bad or this is wrong. I'm telling you, identify what is distracting you. Remember, attention and concentration is based on two things: the ability to be concentrated and the ability to be distracted. So identify what is distracting you and be honest with yourself, okay? So for the next trading session, for example, track how often you get distracted and write down what distracted you. It's okay to be distracted. It's okay to pay the consequences of it. But if you repeat it, sorry, you are stupid with yourself, right? Because you're not repeating the mistake.
Yeah, you're not progressing and you're not catching what caused you to malfunction. You're just going, oh, well, whatever. But no, it's like, write it down. I always write everything down. I love my journals. Like throughout the years, I've managed to catch myself doing stuff that I didn't even feel in the moment that was actually really bad for me. For example, I used to try and do a script for a YouTube video, but then I would be like, I'm just going to check my email. Oh, what's going on Facebook? Oh, and then I would spend like 2 hours checking my email and my Facebook and my script. And then I realized I was just procrastinating, because I'm like, I actually don't like doing scripts. Like I would just like to click on the camera and just ramble on, but you can't always do that. You have to, you know, especially for long form videos, everything has to be nicely put in a little, you know, package without too much rambling, getting to the point. And I didn't like doing that, but it was causing me to spend a hell of a lot more time doing something that I don't like doing. Because of all of this other stuff that I was kind of letting my brain focus on more than the actual task. So I decided to cut all of the social media whilst I'm writing scripts. And as a result, it basically makes me do it faster. So I can focus on it for 20-30 minutes, have a script done. The alternative is spend 3-4 hours doing the same thing. Why? Because I'm doing all this other stuff, checking my Instagram, checking TikTok, checking all this. It's like, just stop doing that. Like, I annoy myself, you know?
Exactly. And thank you again. The more you let distractions control you, the harder it becomes to focus back when it really matters.
Yeah.
Because you get used to get distracted. Yeah. If you get used to focus back your attention, you will get used to control this. Yeah. If you get used to get distracted, you will get used to get distracted,
And
ladies
does
and gentlemen.
dopamine play a part in that? Like kind of instant gratification, do what you want, and then you kind of get a little bit of pleasure from that? Does that work the same way?
Completely. I mean, for smartphones, social media
Yeah.
notifications, or news, this is all related to dopamine seeking behavior and dopamine craving
Yes, it
behavior.
is.
So people crave for their dopamine because dopamine is a very toxic and beautiful emotion. When it floods your brain, you feel filled. I mean, and you want more.
Yeah.
But when it gets back, when it gets reduced, you want to make it back. So in trading, when you win, dopamine floods your brain. And so you want more because this is a great feeling, right? So you want more of this feeling. You are not, you. This is not enough, okay? It's like eating without stopping. But there is a moment, if nobody tells you to stop, who's gonna, right? So this is discipline.
So it's kind of like being likening it to a diet, kind of like having cheat days all the time and just eating all of the bad stuff that you want. You know, chocolate, cake, pasta, bread, like all the stuff that is not particularly good for us. But we derive pleasure from it because it tastes good and it feels good while you're doing it. And then eventually over time your body just starts looking that way as well, like you're always on a cheat meal. But in trading is the same way. If you're constantly looking for that short-term gratification, progress is going to be very slow, because you're chasing the
Exactly.
wrong thing.
And to bounce back from, again, your beautiful link, instead of telling yourself, okay, I'm not going to eat chocolate for 7 days, but I'm going to eat a whole chocolate bar next week. Tell yourself, let's eat 1 square a day,
Yeah.
you know? So instead of telling yourself, I'm going to make a big trade, make a
Make
small
small
trade
trades.
and repeat it every day.
Yeah.
You know, small win compounds.
Yeah.
And they compound more than you can even think about.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you
People
have to
don't realize the
dissociate.
small
Exactly.
size, small trades. Some of my VIPs who have taken on board everything that we've been talking about, they have seen huge transformative results. Obviously, we have those that have never been in Discord and they don't care for the VIPs. But those that have really taken on the VIP coaching properly, they are seeing great results and they're having like huge epiphanies with their trading. It's like, oh my God, trading with small size, A, it compounds, but B, it's so much less stress. It's like, welcome to the bright side.
Exactly. Completely agree. And so we need to dissociate capture of attention and captivation of attention. Capture of attention is fine. Oh, okay, I'm coming back. Oh, okay, I'm coming back, you know? The clearer your intention, the faster the capture and the memory printing. But if your intention is unclear, as I said about the army, for example, or the musician metaphor, you will get distracted. Loss of attention is completely fine, ladies and gentlemen. We are human beings. Attention is not steady. It moves like that. But your ability to re-narrow attention, left, right, boom, center, left, right, boom, centered. You center yourself. And you build and cultivate and nurture this ability to recenter yourself at any moment. And the more you train this ability, the less reactive you will be to events.
So I have a question. So here you just mentioned it yourself, memory printing. Can you just clarify what that means?
So basically, hope it will be clear enough. When you repeat, when you execute a process, it enables one or multiple networks in the brain. And so the more you use these networks, the more they get printed, the more you get used to it. That's the whole process
So it's
of habit building.
Yeah. So it's neural connections get created, and then they get
Exactly.
stronger and more efficient over time.
Exactly.
So that's called
This
memory
is-
printing. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's the Heb's principle. So neurons that fire together, wire together. So that's the habit building process. But
Yeah.
neurons that no longer activate together, that no longer fire together, they unwire. And that is the beauty of diet, of quitting smoking, of coping with depression or PTSD. That's what we use in therapy. How to detach and not identify yourself to what you are thinking and what you are feeling. Okay, so that
Yeah,
is
so
a whole
there's
other
an
topic.
EMDR technique as well, which I think I've spoken about before, and that's an excellent way to combine neuroscience with psychological trauma. Because EMDR is probably one of the only techniques today that can actually make you disassociate from any trauma that you've been in life. And as traders, we unfortunately put a lot of psychological traumas onto ourselves. And actually, I have somebody in my group who asked just that question. They've seen a huge transformation with their skills, but now they're still afraid that they're going to blow up, that the old behaviors are going to come back. And I was like, well, that's just trauma. Like, you literally have psychological trauma from past behaviors that you've basically put on yourself. And I did suggest, I said, try a few EMDR sessions to try and unglue yourself from those old self-limiting beliefs, right? Oh, this has just forced me out. I think there was a new update. Never mind. We're on your slides anyways. Let's continue.
Wonderful. Thank you. So this is physical attention. We understand when our physical attention gets left or right. If you're falling to the left, unless you have a neurological condition, right, you're aware of
correct. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, as we mentioned previously, and I told you, you got 5 slides of my presentation. It's this: understand when your attentional balance, not physical, attentional. Is going left or right. Understand it, acknowledge it, identify it. And that is awareness is the first step. So can we concentrate every time? Don't read the slide, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do it as well. Just listen to my voice. Okay. A feeling of weightlessness washes over me as the dropship detaches from out our main ship, the Ark. I close my eyes and feel the straps holding me in place, listening to the faint. It's painful, right? I mean, if you open your eyes, you see this text, it's painful. If I ask you now to read it, you can start to read it, but it will take a lot of mental capital, right?
Yeah.
So we can concentrate, but it takes conditions. So now if I ask you to find this guy, this individual, find him. It's hard, right?
No, I found him.
Well, yeah. Wow, did you?
Yeah, so he's yeah. I have to say that I have this weird photographic memory matching thing, and it's probably the reason why I managed to do a lot of things in life. But it is a bit freaky, right? So you've seen me do that in 2 seconds. So this is
not even a second.
Yeah. So this is why I'm a little bit of a freak in that department, and I've done that to my friends.
She's a PIM expert. She doesn't know it or say it. She's a PIM expert.
PIM expert. Okay.
She had a perception.
Yeah.
Intention was clear. Find the individual. Perception was clear. Boom! I found him.
But you see, to me, that came naturally. So I didn't realize for a long time that other people don't have this ability. So I thought everybody had it. It wasn't I think until I was about 23 or 24 that I realized that people just don't see things the same way. And I remember going to Vietnam, and we were doing a gig over there. So we walked into a coffee shop, and it was like a whole bunch of, obviously, their language, their letters, and with some English underneath what drinks were there. And I knew that I wanted a particular drink, so I was just looking for the match of that name. So as soon as we walked in, I did what I just did here. So I said, I'm having that. And the guy was like, what? How did you, have you been here before? And I was like, no, I've never been to Vietnam before. Like, what the hell? And he's like, yeah, well, how did you know this was on the menu? And I said, I didn't know. I saw it. He said, what, in 2 seconds? And I was like, no, I was looking for it. So to me, that's normal. But, for most other people, it takes a lot longer. So I don't know. Maybe that's my superpower.
You're a genius. That's it.
I'm not a genius. I just have certain advantages that other people may not have. That's my thing.
That is wonderful. Well, she blew my test, but anyway, I hope you guys found it effortless. It's 1-1. I won the color one, you won this one.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's
So
a
we
fair
all
match.
have our superpowers. Yeah.
Exactly. We are even now.
Yeah.
And so basically, when a task is painful, it enables the ACC, the anterior cingulate cortex. Okay. And so basically, with PIM, meditation, mindfulness, EMDR, self-regulation, you lower the activity of this zone, the ACC. And so PIM makes you understand how intention and manner of act, well kept into memory, can help you. And they naturally come from context. Like you just explained it, it's natural.
Yeah.
And I wrote it. They naturally come from context because our brain makes understanding. Your brain is trained for that. It is wired for that. You have the connections made for that. Not for the colors. I mean, it's a different
Not for
part,
the colors, yeah.
but
No, for sure.
this,
Colors
you have
are
it.
actually my pain point. I'm not that great with colors anyway. And my husband is actually amazing with colors, and he would probably ace that kind of a test. But I'm not, colors are not my thing. Pattern matching, that's my thing. Just don't ask me to do anything with colors.
Nice complementary couple.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And so, yes, I hope today you understood the attentional balance concept, expert perceptions, how to avoid captivation, and so that can lead with lightness and easiness. And so, as a practical training to train dynamic attention, you can have single tasking drills, challenges, so avoid multitasking. You refocus your practice. If you catch yourself drifting or doing multiple things, oh, I'm in a trade, but I'm on Twitter. Okay, cut Twitter and see the difference. You reset quickly. Don't tell yourself, oh, I'm on Discord, I feel bad. No. Oh, I identify, I realize I'm on Discord. I realize I am getting distracted. I cut the distraction and I move on to my activity, which is trading. And it's okay. And if it happens again, guess what? Don't sabotage yourself. Oh, I'm getting distracted again. I cannot stay concentrated. No, this is the wrong way. Just tell you again. I am conscious. I am acknowledging I am getting distracted. Guess what? I am putting back my attention. And the more you will do this, automatically you will do effortlessly. At first, you will find it effortful, but as anything in life, it will get effortless. The fourth step of skillfulness, right? And so
it's funny. I say this all the time. It's like I'm listening to one of my lectures. Whenever you try something new, it's always super hard. Whenever you try to come up with a plan based on your levels, it's going to take you a long time because you're like, oh, what do I do here? But what if I browse this analysis? And it's so difficult. But then you do it every single day. You commit to it. Over time, it just gets a little bit easier until it's effortless. Now, the effortless part is probably going to take you about 6 months to a year because that's typically how long it takes for the new neural connections to really establish efficient energy pathways. But we have a question from Paul H. We've missed you, Paul. I'm glad to see that you're back. And he says, if the brain can't tell the difference between perception and reality, should we realize perfect trades repeated to build confidence? And if so, how frequently should we do this? I mean, I'm of the opinion that we should visualize bad trades and our reactions to that rather than the perfect trades. What are your thoughts, Jerome?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, he's asking. So he's asking about visualizations. So how often should we do it, and should we realize perfect trades repeated to build confidence? Because he's saying if the brain can't see the difference between perception and reality, how often should we visualize things for ourselves?
Okay, thank you for this question and transferring it. Thank you, Paul. So, multiple things. First, you should not, you could. My advice is you should not. You should not visualize only positive trades.
Yeah.
Yet, not even only perfect trades. Because guess what? Visualization is a tool that helps you to get used to what will or could happen in the future, regardless of trading. Hear it again. Visualization is a tool that will help us to get used to what would and could happen in the future. What does that mean? Will all your trades, your winning trades, be perfect trades? No. So why would you visualize only perfect trades? What is a perfect trade? Is it a sniper entry, which means no drawdown? How often will it happen? You know. So
Yeah.
if you're lying to yourself, yes, you can visualize perfect trades, but it will not help you the way you need to be helped. So my advice would be to practice visualization. If there's no setup frequency, I mean, you can practice as long as you practice, you step forward. Remember that. As long as you practice, you step forward. If
So
you
maybe
don't practice,
make it
you step backward.
maybe make it into a morning routine. You know, you're having your
For
coffee
example,
and you can visualize it whilst you're having your coffee. But for me, like I said, it would be more useful to visualize how I behave when the trade doesn't go my way than the ones that do work out. It's like, first of all,
and that's the one we're
perfection.
gonna do next week. Indeed.
Right. Okay. So perfection doesn't exist in trading anyway. If you're seeking perfection, it's just not very realistic. We have to stay realistic in our visualizations. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jerome, but from what I know about visualizations, the further away they are from reality, something that is completely so different from your current life, that does not translate very well into everyday experience. But if you visualize something that is close to your experience, let's say some goal that you want to achieve, but it's not so far out of reach at this point, not to say that at some future time it won't be within your reach, but for now it's just like, for example, making $100 million, you know, and then visualizing I'm making $100 million. It's like, that's great, but not quite there yet, right? So, but if I visualize, let's say, $100,000, then I'm like, okay, I'm focused in. What do I need to do? How does that go? You know, set specific tasks. What is the action that I need to perform in order to get to that point? That would be more useful, I think, with visualizations than, you know, visualizing everything going perfectly. Am I right on this, Jerome? Or
Thank you again for sharing. I don't think there's right or wrong. The thing I
Okay.
believe is we set up our own limits. So if you want to visualize something very far from your actual life, let's go into the law of attraction style thinking. Sky is the limit, but if you set unrealistic things, what's gonna happen? You're gonna have deception. You're gonna be frustrated because you have expectations. So this is the
here's
problem.
another question that I have for you. Does the self-belief in your ability to achieve the visualization, does it play a part in how our brains will perceive it at all? Like, for example, if I know that I'm not capable of something, but, you know, I tell that to myself every day. Let's say I want to be an astronaut. Now, I am 5'1", I have a chronic illness. It ain't happening, right? I'm 44, a little bit too late to be looking at a new career. But, you know, if you tell yourself something in a visualization that just isn't true about your abilities, does that affect how your brain perceives it? Like, will it still perceive it as oh, this is real? Like, I'm definitely going through astronaut training despite all of the shortfalls that I've got. Or does it not matter? Oh, it does.
Completely.
Okay.
Completely. I mean, there's a difference between reality and possible reality. So given your conditions, reality is you can't be an astronaut. So
Yeah.
it's not a possible reality.
Exactly. Yeah. So
In a possible reality context, whatever you don't have and you can possibly have or get or build or grow or unhave, you know, whatever. Yeah, it can happen. It can happen because neuroplasticity, because
Yeah.
we are born with gifts and skills and genetic knowledge, but we learn through it, right? And so we learn every time. And so, and whatever you don't have today, you can have tomorrow. And
Yeah.
if it's not tomorrow, it's going to be in 2 days. And self-esteem, self-belief comes from intention. If you are practicing visualization, if you are practicing improving of self-esteem practices. For example, you're doing hypnosis, you're doing mindfulness, you're going to personal development seminars, whatever you're doing, you're watching videos, reading books. Again, if your intention is not clear, if you feel you are a piece of garbage, guess what? You're gonna be a nice piece of garbage. But if you think you're a piece of gold, you're gonna shine very well.
Yeah.
Please, I dare anyone to challenge, I challenge anybody listening to this stream, show me somebody who had success, huge success in whatever they achieve and they did, trading or not, and ask them, or find somebody who asked them, are you optimistic or pessimistic, and share the answer to me. If you find one single individual telling you, oh, I'm a pessimistic individual, I'm always thinking negative, life is awful, and I always have problems, but I'm successful, very successful. It doesn't happen.
There was a pianist back in the day called Ivo Pogorelic, one of the best pianists in the world, and he got asked about participating in this like extremely prestigious competition. Obviously they didn't know he was going to win it or not, but they asked him prior. So how do you feel about finally reaching this competition? And he said, "It is my destiny." I think that's like the prime outlook of belief in yourself, right? So I'm a little bit of a lunatic that way, where I went for some goals in life that at the time seemed completely impossible to others. So, I set the goal to be a successful session musician. And everybody in my country, including my mom, was saying, Dee, if you go to a foreign country, because I'm not from England, I'm from Serbia originally, right? So I'm an immigrant, effectively. And she said, you will never make it. No Serbian has ever played successfully as a session musician in the UK. It's not to be done, blah. So I come over here, started from the beginning. And guess what? I got to a point where I played with Rod Stewart as a part of my session career. That was like my claim to fame. And we did it for like 2 months. It wasn't just like a one-off. So, that whole thing of, oh, it's impossible. It's impossible for whom? Like, it's impossible for others, maybe. But there are certain things that are within your reach with quite a bit of effort and the right type of action. But if you don't believe in yourself, and if I had kind of just said to myself, yeah, it's impossible, nobody's ever done it, I wouldn't have pushed. I wouldn't have, done every single gig that I could possibly do. I wouldn't have got an agent that could get me bigger gigs. I would have just been like, oh, I'm just going to play a tiny little club right outside of my apartment, and that'll be it. Nothing was pushing me, to go forward, because you wouldn't have that belief in yourself. But when you do, you sort of find ways to make it happen. And it's a weird thing where you set an intention, like you say, and a goal that is maybe just slightly outside of your reach. Something happens to you. There's like this identity shift that enables you to eventually reach your goals. It's like absolutely fascinating to me.
Thank you very much. You put again your finger on something interesting, which is self-criticism and the judgment from external environment. So I'm just going to give an example, and I have others later. So let's take an example. You have two daughters in a family. One is 6 years old. The other is, let's say, 4-ish. And one Sunday, one beautiful sunny Sunday, the family is having a brunch at the terrace outside in the garden, and out of nowhere, Elise, the 6-year young child, starts singing, and she starts to sing beautifully. I'm not gonna imitate Elise because I'm an awful singer, but parents are like astonished, right? They're like, wow, Elise, what did you just do? Do it again. And they're like putting out their phones because they are 20-25 parents, and they are filming the children and sending to the parents and the family and the WhatsApp groups and whatnot. And then Floria, the little very sweet 4-year young other child, wants to mirror with her mirror neurons her sister, right? Her older sister, which leads. We lead by example, right? So what does Floria start to do? She starts to sing. And guess what? She sings even better than Elise. But guess what happens? Parents are like, no, Floria, you're not the singer of the family. Find yourself something else. And guess what Floria will grow through in her life? She will grow through fear of judgment and fear of self-criticism, humiliation, not a good resilience, etc. And so this is a great example because it happens a lot. How many parents tell no to their children or child? You know, I want to be this. No. There's a statistic. A single individual at 18 years old heard at least 10,000 times no in their lives for personal things, like I want to do this, no, I want to be this, no, I want to eat this, no, I want to drink this, no, I want to go there, no, 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 you know. And
interesting you say that.
How much it shapes.
Yeah, I actually have an older sister. She's 10 years older than me. And when I was 3 years old, she was 13. And it was actually similar to that. My older sister was super talented. She was good at singing, good at playing instruments, good at everything, good at painting. And I remember me trying to sing at 3 years old. I was 3. I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought it was fun. But then my dad turned around. Not out of any sort of malice or anything. He was just I thought it was funny. It's like, oh, haha, 3-year-old. So he said, child, you will never make any money as a musician. It is hilarious because that stayed with me. And it kind of drove me to have this huge ambition to prove to everybody that I can be a musician. Now, it wasn't until I started trading that I realized that I was suffering from sense of inadequacy because of that one comment that my dad did, like off the cuff, because I was just singing at 3 years old. So it's interesting that there are studies about that, but also interesting how those early childhood experiences stay with us for sometimes until we're like 70 years old, if you don't really realize it, right?
Exactly. Live PTSD therapy, ladies and gentlemen. No, just kidding. But wow, very interesting. He, without knowing it, fed your desire, but he could have destroyed also it. So
yes, yeah. But in my case, because of how I am wired, it caused an enormous amount of ambition and drive. Enormous. Like I just don't stop. Dee goes head through the wall if necessary. And I've always had that. And it all stems from there because I did some therapy and I was really shocked to find that that was the root cause for all the stuff I did in life. I was like, wow.
Interesting. Thank you for sharing this. So if you guys want so and still like it, we can dive into compassion and endurance. So compassion is accepting mistakes and recovering faster. And endurance is the concept of a marathon. Trading is a long-term way, and mental strength matters, of course. And so basically how you treat yourself after a loss determines your long-term success as a trader. And so we have what we call the cycle of self-sabotage. So you take a bad trade, you get angry at yourself, you revenge trade, you lose more, you feel worse, and the cycle repeats. You take a bad trade, you get angry at yourself, you revenge trade, you lose more, you feel worse, and you repeat. And this is how traders blow up accounts. Not from bad strategies, not from bad entries. I mean, not only perhaps, but from mainly emotional distraction. And so you need to forgive yourself as well with trading resilience. And so when you experience a loss, please listen carefully to this, because this is applicable beyond trading as well. When you and it's related to Paul H's question as well. So when you experience a loss, your brain registers it like physical pain. When you experience a loss, your brain registers it like physical pain. And self-criticism, D, linking it to our examples, self-criticism activates the same brain areas as physical injury. So when you lose a trade, it feels you took a jab, like MP says, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But technically it is because of that. And so when you self-sabotage yourself and you are not kind with yourself, you take the knife and you put it back in your body, right? You're like knifing yourself.
It's like,
without
I have
knowing
not
it.
had enough. Let's do it again.
Exactly. Exactly. And so the more you criticize yourself, the worse your performance becomes,
Yeah.
because your brain starts associating trading with pain
With
and
pain.
failure. And so now let's take a moment. How do you perceive? I don't know if we can do polls on YouTube, but if we can, let's ask the chat. How do they perceive
Yeah,
trading?
I don't have the ability, so I'm not the all-powerful main
Okay, no
Topstep.
worries.
So I'm just a contractor, so I don't have the power to create polls. So
No
maybe
worries,
we
but-
can sort something out for next time, because we would need to have somebody who's awake from Topstep to actually go in and create the nice little
Got you.
polls. So unfortunately, we do not have
Got
that
you. But
ability.
if people can type into the chat,
Yeah.
type how you perceive trading. You have three choices. The first one is I perceive trading like a business. You type business. The second is you perceive trading like a game, and be honest about that, and you type game. And the third one is you perceive trading as a side activity, which is neither a business, neither a game, which is a side activity I am getting in. And you can type side activity. So I don't have visual on the chat, but I'm curious about the answers. But why do I explain this? Because if you think about trading, okay, as a business, people at the pit, this is their business. So they treat
Yeah.
it as a business. Losses or expenses, part of the business. Money is a byproduct of the process. So every day you clock in, you don't necessarily put money in the bank, but you clock in. You don't expect money in the bank. Your intention is to make money. Of course, this is your job. I mean, what are
Okay.
you working for?
Yeah, so we have some answers here. So mainly it's business.
Okay,
We have
nice.
someone saying game. We have someone saying side activity. Few of them saying side activity. Oh yeah, more game, side activity. So it's very mixed.
Nice.
Some of the funny ones, business but a bad one. A
Nice.
business bracket that's struggling.
That's nice as well. Thank
Yeah.
you guys for participating and being honest. And my
Yeah.
next point is, whatever you perceive trading as, there's no right or wrong. I mean, there could be, but is trading a fulfillment for you? Do you feel you grow as a person and as a professional through trading? Or do you feel, not think, do you feel trading is painful, trading is failure, trading is pulling you down? If you feel the first, that means whatever you are perceiving trading for, whether it's a game, a side activity, or a business, you are aligned with it. If you are not aligned with it, then it becomes painful. But guess what happens in any job you find it painful? You burn out. You burn out, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen. And so why is psychology and mental health such a big stone, a big topic in trading? Because first, this is a professional activity. People can go in with a credit card and an ID, right? And a mail. So this is very much accessible, but the way you perceive it, the way you intend in your way in it, shifts your journey in it. And so if you find it painful, you will burn yourself out. You will burn yourself out quicker than you even think it is possible. Okay? You can, I'm pretty sure if we make study about it, there's a 3 times at least more chance of burning out in trading versus any other professional field. And there are specific conditions for burnouts to occur. And we're not going to go through them today, but please ask yourself, how do I feel about trading? Is it a pain? Is it a failure? Does it make me feel sad? Does it make me feel anxious? Do I feel depressed? Do I have trauma?
So interesting, someone is saying an adrenaline booster. What are your thoughts on that? Should trading be an adrenaline thing? I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No.
Adrenaline boosting behaviors are Like
Yeah.
leads, not are, because you can jump out of a bridge to boost your adrenaline.
Yeah,
right?
go
But
bungee jumping for adrenaline
exactly.
boost. Don't go
But
trading. Yeah.
trading is an activity that could easily lead the human being to gambling behavior. Listen to this sentence. Trading is an activity that can easily lead to gambling behavior. Trading is not a gambling activity, but it can easily lead to gambling behaviors. And so, in my humble opinion, trading for the adrenaline is just putting all your money on red or black at the roulette and having the same adrenaline. It's just a different kick, let's say, but it's the same kick. So my advice would be, redefine your purpose. But it's not right or wrong. Again,
Yeah.
it's being aligned with yourself, and whatever you are trading for, are you finding what you are looking for? If no, two possibilities. Either you're not doing the right thing, either you need more time, or a bit of both. But
Yeah.
it's as simple as it is. But you need to identify it.
Yeah, I'm
So-
always really surprised at how many people don't approach trading methodically. Because in my, like from the minute that I started trading, I looked at it as the same activity as my music skill development. So, you go from one week to the next, and you have tasks. So one day you will be doing one study. The next week you change and go to the next slightly more difficult study. You kind of fish for your weaknesses as the time is going by, right? And most people don't do that with trading. They just kind of sit there. They don't look at what their biggest problem is. They don't look at what is causing the biggest hindrance in their P&L. They just kind of keep sitting there clicking buttons and expecting that magically somehow, someday, it's all going to work out. And I never got that. I was just always super focused and always had a plan. And I'm self-critical, but I'm not self-deprecating, if that makes sense. Because, I know what my weaknesses are and I'm very honest with them. But at the same time, I'm not going to beat myself over that. I'm just going to try and do better each day. And, the amount of people who don't do that and just treat this indeed as a game. I know that many people have said business, but I would doubt that a little bit, just purely from the experience of seeing some stats and how people are approaching their trading. I would doubt that, that they're really budgeting in for the losses, that, you're really limiting yourself to a particular number of trades per day before you call it a day. So I'm going to put a little bit of doubt on the people saying that they treat it as a business, especially with the additional comments, yes, but a struggling one or a bad one or a stressful one. It's probably because you're not really deep down treating it as a business. You may want to, but you're not quite there yet. Does that make sense?
Completely. I'm pretty confident as well. 98% of people at least don't do these. I wasn't, because simply we don't know what we don't know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's why Topstep is amazing, because this is an educational program as well that shares knowledge and skills. And so I learned a lot from it, and I am still. And today I have the opportunity to share my side of something I studied. But trust me, today I'm a businessman in trading, but I was a newbie, a full retail trader that didn't know a glimpse of what he was doing and what was the market. And I had to be honest with myself, watch myself in front of the mirror, look right into my eyes and tell myself, you don't know how to trade. You don't know how to trade. Be realistic. Stop waking up and telling yourself, Jerome, today you're going to rock it. No, you're not. You're not.
Because the skills are not there yet. Yeah.
Exactly.
And yet being the pinnacle word there. Because, people are like, whenever I say, you're not at that stage yet. It's a big, big thing to say you can't be doing what Dakota is doing because Dakota's got 15 years experience. Yet. So you can't be doing what he's doing yet. You need to earn your right to competence, trading with size. And how do we get there? By skill development, right? You will get there someday if you work on yourself. But right now, most people are just not at the stage that you see some of us who are on TopstepTV. They're not. It's just, I am somebody who's a bit an approach of no nonsense. And I'm not going to lie to people. Like when I see newbies who have negative risk reward, they're doing 40 trades per day. And they're like, I asked them, how long have you been trading for? And they go, oh, since September last year. You're a noob. Like, I'm sorry. You should be nowhere near 40 trades a day, nowhere near size. And certainly not doing 3 NQs, as your kind of starting point. Go to something that's slower, size down, 1 micro, 1 to 2 trades a day. Then see whether you have an edge. But no, newbies see people who have been doing this for, 15, 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. And they're like, I'm going to be like them. It's like, yeah. It's going to take time. It's not that you won't get there, but it's just going to take time. And even when you get there, there's still a question of, stability of the system. I'm always worried when I see people doing a ton of trades per day with a negative risk reward, because as soon as that accuracy starts to slip, I'm always thinking, this is going to be a disaster at some point, especially the more negative risk reward it is, the less stable the system. So, there are numbers to this game. And the more you treat it like business, the better off you will be. But yeah, there comes a point where you have to be honest with your skills. Just look at yourself, like Jerome said, and just go, okay, I suck. How can we make this better? But don't just stop it, oh, I suck.
Exactly.
Have that other side. How can I make it better? How do I make myself better?
Exactly. And we are here to help, right? The best traders are their own coaches, not their own enemies. I'm going to finish on that, how to develop trading resilience through compassion. I mean, we could speak days about compassion. I spent a whole week last week about compassion, right? So 5 minutes here is not going to summarize it, but this is sort of a way to bridge it. But the best traders aren't the ones who never lose, right? They are the ones who recover fastest. And you have a lot of books, about losing as well. So how to reset after a loss, for example. Pause for 30 seconds, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, for example. Don't take more than 5 minutes, not necessary. Pause for 5 minutes max. Step away, breathe, walk, reset your nervous system. Call a friend, talk to your partner. Don't get a distraction with Twitter, Discord, YouTube, social networks. That's escaping from the mind. So that
I like to tell people to do weightlifting, because there's a biological thing that happens with adrenaline and glycogen reserves, fight or flight response. If it starts to kick up, the worst thing you can do is just keep trading. So moving away, even running up and down the stairs, having some free weights, doing some compound exercises, anything to bring back your prefrontal cortex. Because when you're in fight or flight, your rational self is not engaged, right? So to bring it back up, we need to do something on a biological level that will make it easier. And I always find that weights disrupt emotions. There's a reason for it, right?
Completely. And it lowers cortisol as well. And increases testosterone, which is the trust hormone. Besides being like the male hormone mainly, it's the self-trust hormone, self-belief hormone. So it increases testosterone level on a biological level. And beautiful thing. The thing is, for people who lose a lot, they're going to be more fit than profitable if they practice this on a long-term basis. But anyway, an exercise you can do, guys, is write one lesson or one encouragement. Instead of self-hate, find the lesson. Whether the lesson is right or wrong. Don't ask yourself, is this the right lesson I need? No, find it. I mean, go into the process of doing it. Detach from the outcome. Judge yourself based on execution, not P&L. Was my entry good? Yeah, no. Was my exit good? Whether it's TPO or SL? Yes, no. That's it. Did you follow your plan? Yeah.
So the main question to ask yourself, it's not the outcome of your trading, because what's going to lead to a good outcome is a good process. So the only thing that matters is whether you followed the rules. And if not, that's a problem. If you followed the rules, eventually tweaking things like trading locations, maybe understanding more about day types in the auction process, maybe using something like my exhaustion zones, ADRs, all of that. That could be something to tweak along the way. But if you keep breaking the rules, no level is going to help you. So you have to have that good process. This is why we all say process over profits. That's what it means. All right, Jerome, we are running out of time. Unfortunately, we could do this like forever. And I'm going to see if we can work to make this into a semi-permanent thing. So I'm going to talk to the producers. I think everybody really liked it. And I think having this sort of a weekly class on neuroscience, self-compassion, visualizations, how to control yourself. I think that's something that is definitely missing from any trading show. So making it into a regular thing would be extremely helpful for everybody. That's cute. I love that. Oh, look at that. Should we name the little brain? Do you have a name for him or her?
Let chat find it. Or
Yeah,
find it.
yeah. Let's name the because I have my Bob the Chameleon. I have my Bob the Chameleon, and
Let's
then we
make
can.
it my mascot.
Yes, exactly. Let's make it Jerome's mascot.
Can I add one sentence, one last thing?
Yes, of course.
Sorry, I just wanted to add this. For self-compassion, I have an exercise for people, and for those who will practice it daily, I commit myself to help them if they want a way of improvement. So you have 3 tasks. After every trading session, write 1 mistake you made, 1 thing you did well, and 1 way you will improve tomorrow. After every trading session, write 1 mistake you made, 1 thing you did well, 1 way you will improve tomorrow. And if you do this every day, you will see the magic of doing it. And it isn't about being soft. It's about building mental toughness to come back stronger. And I'm going to leave you on this very cutie brain. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention, which was the main topic of today.
Yes.
I really hope this was useful and a content for people to use in their daily life and trading. And yes, if we can make this a regular or a semi-regular, I'm very happy to perhaps pick topic from the community as well. If you want to make a topic of interest from people, that would be lovely. And thank you very much. The pleasure was
awesome. Jerome, thank you so much for being here with us. Like I said, we're going to try and make this into a more permanent thing. Everyone, enjoy the rest of the broadcast today. We're going to have the main team on soon. You're going to see me on Fast Markets towards the end of Fast Markets today as well.
We are back together then.
We are back together. Yes, exactly. So you will be seeing me and Jerome today together again. I think you're on for most of the Fast Markets. I'm going to be jumping in for the last hour. Gotcha. Thank you everybody for listening to this lovely session. Hopefully it was useful for everyone. Let's see what the day brings. Take it slow. Take all of this new knowledge now and try to implement it as your day progresses to maybe set some better processes and to become better each and every day with the help of some neuroscientific data and Jerome, obviously, as our guide. That's all from us. This has been the London session on TopstepTV. This is Jerome. I'm Dee. We'll see you later. Take care.
Let's go.